All right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I'm Andrew Lauder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at the San Francisco Athletic Club.
Athletic Club.
Very simple name for a new bar. You would think that would be taken already.
At least they didn't spend any money on coming up with a good name.
I do notice that the waitresses are all wearing SFAC shirts. So it really rolls off the tongue. You know, the old SFAC.
They're working on their branding.
Yeah, exactly.
But they should, because it's a brand new bar.
It is brand new.
And I believe it is put together by the owners of Kezar Pub, which we did a couple of barcasts ago.
Yeah.
So Kezar Pub is one of the Upper Haight staple sports bars.
Right.
And this bar is on Divisadero and Bush, and it's also a sports bar.
It is.
Hence the Athletic Club.
They've stuck with a theme. We're good at sports bars, sort of.
I'm looking around, and even though this is an athletic club, I don't see a whole lot of athletes.
I see a lot of sloppy, drunk Dutch people that just and when we first arrived, a lot of strangely not very depressed-looking Mexican people. They must have just been completely shit-faced by then. But
so we should say we're here right after the Dutch beat the Mexicans in the World Cup.
Correct.
And it was a come-from-behind victory for the Dutch.
Right. This is a very, it may be hard to pick up, or people may be wondering why we're shouting at each other, but it's a very, very loud place.
It's loud. The acoustics in here, I feel like we never talk about the acoustics in bars.
Yeah.
But the acoustics in here are horrible. Either that or I'm just surrounded by a bunch of drunk-ass Dutch people.
I'm going to say a little bit of both.
I think if you were somebody who specialized in acoustics,
right,
and they walked in, you'd be like, you know what? There's too many drunk Dutch people here. That would be a problem.
It was because we came here during the sort of time in between games, and so the game was already over when we got here, and they were blasting at top volume,
not yet. Oh, thanks.
The wait staff is catering to our needs, so that's a plus.
She just wants to be part of the magic.
I know, yeah. I noticed she leaned into your microphone and was like, "Can I help you?"
Exactly, honey. I'll order something later. Just get off my lap.
But anyway, they were blasting Enrique Iglesias, and then they started playing traditional Dutch music, and the Dutch people seem to love it, but
I guess it means a lot to those Dutch people to survive what could have been an elimination for them to come from behind. But there were a lot of happy Dutch people here.
Plus, your whole country's underwater, so you got to celebrate every day you're still alive and not a fish.
Well, listen, if you haven't grown gills yet, you should be worried if you live in Amsterdam.
In Holland, Waterworld is a documentary.
But yeah, when we came in here, there was a lot of it basically looked like St. Patrick's Day in Amsterdam. A bunch of Dutch people drunk off their ass and dancing jigs and listening to shitty music.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about country pride that makes people forget when music is terrible. And and they're oh yeah, I love this. And no, you don't. You never liked it.
That's kind of true, because would you ever say to somebody during the national anthem, "Hey, this song sucks"? No, because people would be like, "Oh, that guy's a terrorist."
Right.
Or even if you made good, if you made good points where you said you know what, this song sounds like that Bonnie Tyler song about "Turn Around Bright Eyes." This goes on forever.
I will say that there's been a few times where the U.S. national anthem is played, and I do think to myself what a shitty national anthem we have.
Really?
Well, especially compared to have you seen Brazil or Colombia? Yeah, a lot of the South American
they have
countries,
a lot of coconuts cracking.
Well, they at least Brazil and I think Argentina and maybe Uruguay or something like that. They'll start off the national anthem and then they'll cut the music halfway through, and everybody has to sing it a cappella for the rest of the way, which is great because it's this huge sea of people singing. But then the USA one comes along, and it's no one can sing this song. Let me know when Whitney Houston shows up.
Is Ibiza its own country, or is it part of Spain?
I think it's part of Spain.
Oh, That'd be great if they had a national anthem. It was like this dubstep national anthem.
Deep house, like Sasha and Digweed, like do their national anthem.
And now Testo is going to perform the national anthem.
Christ. But yeah, so this is I guess the new sports bar in town, really.
And you know what? Here's the other thing about this sports bar. We're at Divisadero and Bush, which makes it Pacific Heights.
Oh, essentially, okay.
So Pacific Heights is what it is. And so if you're somebody...
You can say full of assholes.
Well, I don't feel like nobody here so far has proven to me that they are assholes. But, a perfect example, like right now, not like a mile away from us, there's the Gay Pride Parade. And you would never know it up in Pacific Heights. In Pacific Heights, they're in their, white person bubble.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, I guess there are gay people in San Francisco.
I wouldn't know hanging out with all of my rich friends.
Exactly, yeah.
That's, I was going to say that I think that the one thing that's, that sort of is good about Pacific Heights as a neighborhood
is that what it's far away from me?
Well, that and they tend not to leave.
Yeah.
So you don't have to encounter people from Pacific Heights unless you go to Pacific Heights, or are in first class on an airplane or something.
You never bump into someone. You're like, oh, where do you live? Like, oh, Pacific Heights.
Right. It's like, oh, so you hang out in the Mission much? No.
Nope.
I don't hang around anywhere but Fillmore very often. Oh, okay.
What was that Michael Keaton film, Pacific Heights?
Oh yeah. What was like?
Can you name all the films that have their titles are also like places in San Francisco?
Ooh. Does Metro count with Eddie Murphy?
What metro section of San Francisco is that?
The metropolitan area of San Francisco.
There was the Presidio.
There was the Presidio. I remember that. Mark Harmon and Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. There's the Mission with Jeremy Irons and Robert De Niro.
A great movie about Racer 5 and hipsters. The Mission.
There was Pacific Heights.
Pacific Heights.
There's a little TV show called Twin Peaks.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was going to say,
is it
Glen Park Station? Nothing.
Is there a movie about called The Tenderloin about people puking in the street?
Like Excelsior is sort of close to Excalibur.
No, okay, yeah, I'm going to allow it.
Right. You have that movie Daly City. No. Fruitvale Station.
I forgot what we were talking about, but yes, that's a good little
sports
game.
bars.
Oh, I was talking about Pacific Heights. I never saw the movie Pacific Heights.
I don't think I ever saw it either. All I know is that Michael Keaton is supposed to be very bad in it.
He's a bad guy, right?
Right. And I think he just makes noise next to the neighbors or something.
Supposedly his new movie is supposed to be really great. It's done by
Batman?
What?
Batman?
Yeah, I know it's called. It has a name like that.
Oh, it has a name like Batman?
Yeah, but it's like whatever. I'll
Superman?
During the break, I'll figure it out. But it's done by one of those Mexican directors, one of those amazing Mexican directors.
Oh, okay.
It's not Del Toro. I think it was the guy who did Y Tu Mama Tambien.
I thought that was Cuarón, wasn't it? Or...
Oh, if that, all right, then it's the other one.
All right. There's only two.
There's three. Didn't one of them did Babel?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I think it's him.
All right. I love Babel. Babel's a great movie.
Babel's a great movie.
Yeah. Is there a neighborhood in San Francisco called Babel? No?
I don't know.
Oh, thanks for, I should say, thanks to Mike Spiegelman for filling in for a week. You were indisposed off in Las Vegas, losing money.
I lost so much money in Vegas. It's fucking unbelievable. Yes, thank you, Mike, for filling in.
Was it primarily sports betting you were doing, or were there other vices that you discovered?
And I don't want to, be disparaging in any way to people who might live in Vegas.
Right.
But that place is a fucking horrible pit, and humans should not live there.
I don't know why anybody would take offense to that if they lived there.
Right, exactly. I just assume that anyone who lives there is confused, and they're not. They will come to their senses and get the fuck out.
You were there for nearly 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, nearly 2 weeks.
And that's crazy because I think every single time I've gone to Las Vegas, at the end of the second day, I'm like, yep, ready to check out of
Done,
here.
yeah.
This is Like there is nothing left of this place that could possibly entertain or like amuse me.
I went to the Electric Daisy Carnival.
Oh my God.
And which is like I believe the largest rave in the country.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe in Ibiza they have bigger ones. But yeah, and
I should stress that this isn't that wasn't the reason you went there. You didn't go to like.
Oh no,
like,
I didn't go to
like you were dragged to it, right?
I
didn't want people to think that like, wow, Jeff takes like 2 weeks to go to Electric Daisy Carnival. What a weirdo.
Well, you got to recover, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I wasn't going to go to it, but a friend of mine was like, basically kind of talked me into it. He's like, come on, just go to the festival. I told him, I was like, hey man, I'm over 40. And he was like, I'm over 40 too. Let's just go do it. So I went, and yeah, like I feel it is exactly what you thought. Like I almost got run over by a neon worm.
Well, I mean, it says that right on the ticket. Look out for the neon worm. Like,
and then anything that's at like a motor speedway is huge.
Yeah,
it's like for as far as the eye could see, it was just nothing but like neon and fireworks and
Holy
fucking
shit.
like droning techno music.
Well, that sounds exciting.
It was fun. It was it's too long to stay in Vegas though.
Right. Well, not a whole lot happening here. I mean, like we got the World Cup. So
I watched a lot of World Cup when I was there, and the team that I took right from the beginning, Colombia.
They're like the darlings of the tournament.
They're killing it now.
They are killing it. They're like and like everybody loves them because they seem like happy. They dance after every goal. They're sort of out Braziling Brazil.
The reason why they're so good is because of Pablo Escobar.
Well, yeah.
And like we've mentioned him on the show before.
Right.
I believe we talked about how the two Escobars is probably the best 30 at 30 documentary on ESPN.
Yeah, definitely.
And Parker Gibbs brought it up as well. This is going to be the third time we brought up Pablo Escobar. But in that documentary, they were saying that even though he was this international drug trafficker, and ruthless fucking person, he loved soccer. So what he would do is he built all these soccer fields for kids to play in.
Right.
And so now they have a generation of good soccer players. So thank you, Uncle Pablo. Thank you for the soccer and the deviated septum and the nosebleed.
All my relatives and family were brutally murdered, but it was worth it because we have a decent soccer team now.
Exactly. You knew there'd be sacrifices.
Exactly. Yeah. Those. Some more Dutch people continuing to go nuts.
From what I can tell, there are no songs in Holland. It's just people just screaming at the top of their lungs.
and they're singing to that well-known Dutch song by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, exactly.
Kashmir.
Oh my God! The only other thing I know about Holland is I saw. This is a weird segue.
Right.
I rewatched the movie Munich.
Oh, okay.
While I was away.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where they go to Holland to murder some woman.
Right.
But
as is the custom.
But that's not the point. I'm watching Munich again, and it was nominated for Best Picture, directed by a little guy named Steven Spielberg.
Mm.
And it's about this. If people don't know, it's about them hunting down the terrorists who were responsible for the Munich Olympic massacre.
Yeah.
They killed all these Israeli athletes.
Right.
So there's one scene that I just can't get out of my head where, yes, please, IPA, Big Daddy. No.
I'm good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
She's stepping on my story.
We should ask her to take over.
Anyway, so in this one scene, so they're putting together this secretive team to go and get the people responsible for the Munich massacre.
Right.
And so they take Eric Bana and they bring him they're giving him all his directives, and they're saying oh yeah, well we are disavow any knowledge of you whatsoever and all this stuff.
Right.
And then there's this one character who's and I want receipts. And I'm and he's telling him, You're still even though we disavow you, you're still working for the state of Israel. So I want receipts. And I'm sitting alone in this hotel room.
Right.
And I just said out loud, "Is that supposed to be fucking funny? Is this like their attempt to make like a Jewish joke?"
Yeah.
And also like, hey Spielberg, it's okay if I make that joke. I'm not supposed to be as smart as you. But like, what are you doing? Like,
right. Well, and you wonder if it was even his call or if like some producer was like, put in a Jew joke.
Yeah,
everybody will love it.
They're really into accounting and money. Like, make that a thing.
We got to lighten this up a little. This whole people dying thing is getting really it's the movie's got sort of like a sad tone to it. We want to liven it up with some comedy.
It's like Don Rickles like snuck in and wrote one page of dialogue and put in this horrible fucking scene about how they need receipts for the state of Israel.
All right. Well, so we should probably take a quick break.
Let's take a break.
Unfortunately, what's his name? Mike Spiegelman. He did not have very much interest in talking about sports, and so we'll have to catch up on that.
We have to make up for that.
We do, and we have to talk about the NBA draft that happened.
Yeah.
And ongoing World Cup coverage that people have come to love and expect.
Let's do World Cup because I feel like every World Cup nationality is just like another opportunity to make stupid jokes.
Perfect. All right. This is SFBarkast, and we'll take a quick break.
Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Been a long time gone, Constantinople, now it's Turkish delight on a moonlit night. Every gal in Constantinople lives in Istanbul, not Constantinople. So if you've a date in Constantinople, she'll be waiting in Istanbul. Even old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. People just liked it better that way. So take me back to Constantinople. No, you can't go back to Constantinople. Been a long time gone, Constantinople. Why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks.
And we are back at the glorious San Francisco Athletic Club.
The SFAC. Or
that
sounds awkward. It sounds like a government agency or something.
SFAC?
Yeah. Or like an air conditioning company.
So during the break, we met some people here, and apparently the consensus is that the penalty that led to the Dutch goal was, how shall I say, bullshit.
Or as the Mexicans would say, caca.
No, that's what the Brazilians would say. They'd be like, yes, caca.
Caca. But,
so, I don't know.
They feel slightly... she seemed to be still in a good mood. I think
I know.
I think if... I can't imagine sort of a similar circumstance in basketball or something like that. If the Celtics got robbed at the end of a championship game, I find it hard to believe that you or any other Celtics fan would be in a super cheerful mood afterwards, being like, oh well, it happens. You'd be kicking shit upside down and looking to beat people up.
Although what I will say, I'll point out is that she's a very attractive person. So I feel like if you're that pretty, you can't be. You can't be in. Nothing can really depress you.
Life's had better roses already. What are you complaining about?
You know what? Yeah, so my team lost. Maybe I'll just go look in the mirror. Oh, I feel better already.
Oh, everything's coming up me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, I guess the first game was kind of bullshit.
I think there's a penalty called late, and that's always controversial and
But that's the thing, Andrew. And I don't watch a lot of soccer.
Right.
But there's so little scoring in those games.
Right.
That one well-placed penalty can make all the difference in the world.
Right.
It can make all the difference in the World Cup. There was that controversy in the NBA that there was some guy who was trying to fix games, but he was one referee out of like 3, and there's so much scoring. I feel like you can only kind of move the game in a certain direction.
Yeah,
but like in soccer, you get like one penalty. You're like, oh, my job's done. Pay me. Where's my money?
Right, exactly. No, it was an exciting game for sure, and like I said, I mean, like there's still a ton of Mexico fans here and like Dutch fans. When we went to the Kezar, it seemed like as soon as the game was over, everybody spilled out of the place. But like I mean, here like maybe there's not quite as many options to go elsewhere, but like people are definitely sticking around, which is
I mean
surprising.
they're not, even the Mexican fans who have to suffer through a very heartbreaking defeat.
Right.
They haven't lost any steam. they're still ready to go.
Yeah, they realize their country still exists. They still have to like
the other really interesting thing is that there's another game.
Yeah, Greece and Costa Rica later on.
Yeah, and you know what? Those fans aren't exactly filing in here.
Not really, no. But I mean, you might find like depending on which diners are closed today, there might be a few Greek people that walk in like after their shift. But and Costa Ricans, what the hell can we? What racist thing can you say about Costa Ricans that hasn't already been said about Mexicans?
What is like the Costa Rican flag? Is it like just a screamer monkey?
No, it's like red, white, and blue as usual. Like I like that one of the people that's currently holding a Dutch flag up and like going nuts is like clearly this like little Asian girl. So like,
I feel like one of the things I love about the Dutch is they're very loud and they're very drunk, but I feel like at any point, like I could beat them all up. You know, like if I stood up right now and said, "Hey, shut up," they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, sir. I'm just gonna sit over here and think about tulips."
Right. So, yeah, you might sort of like ruin their high, but you know, exactly. Oh Christ! Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, so I mean, a couple other big things have happened in sports in the last week. One of them is and I guess it hasn't really been resolved yet. It's still sort of like in court and everything. But the whole Redskins being pressured to change their name thing sort of like came to a head.
Those fucking idiots! I swear to God, like, if I was a Redskins fan, I would be embarrassed.
Oh God, you'd have to be.
Just knock it off. And like the way that Daniel Snyder is. The way that Daniel Snyder is putting up a big stink about how he's never going to change the name, and the way that the NFL is like backing him up there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, well, you guys are assholes.
Right. Well, and like I love. I was watching. I think it's like Mike and Mike. And Mike was it Mike Golick, the big guy.
Yeah.
Like in that, he was trying to play devil's advocate. But he's doing a terrible job at it. And, like, his whole thing was like, well, where does it end? Well, I just want to know where the line is drawn.
Fuck that.
Like, who cares where the line is drawn? You know what? Right now it's drawn here. So fucking, like, just relax. Like, is it really that big of a hassle for you to, like, to not call a team something else? Like,
right. And the thing is,
like, who cares? I hate that sort of a slippery slope. Like, if we change the name to Redskins, we're going to have to change the Miami Hurricanes to something else because hurricanes are bad.
It's
like,
no,
that's
total
bullshit. Yeah.
No, it's like, oh, well, we're going to have to change the name of Notre Dame because they're the Fighting Irish. I'm like, no. Like, the Fighting Irish there's nothing, like, derogatory or, like, pejorative about that.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, like, if it was called, like, the Drunken Irish, sure. But it'd probably be a better name for them. But, yeah, like, no, like, I hate that thing, like, oh, well, all this political correctness. You can't say anything anymore. Like, no, you just can't say the one thing that is insulting to those people.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, is there a problem?
Right.
And I hate it when people who are not of a group, they argue whether it should be offensive or not. It's like, it's not up to you. It's not up to you to decide whether Indians are offended by this word. It's up to them.
Well, and just the idea that, like, all of this racism and pain that these people felt is the exact same equivalent to me being slightly hassled. It's like no, they're totally you being like, I'm not going to know what to call them. What do I do? It's like, who the fuck cares about you? Like, your problems are so insignificant compared to like everybody else's. Like, really, like you're going to like grind society to a halt so that you don't have to change the way you say a word.
Yeah,
Like
this only inconveniences you in the fact that you have to use a different word when you speak.
Right.
So fucking knock it off, man.
Right.
Although someone was pointing out that the irony that they probably will get the name of the team changed because the government,
refused patent
to
or whatever.
renew their trademark on their
Yeah.
patent. And so that seems it's great that the government did that.
Like
but
the
at the same time, American Indians are probably like, oh great, hey, where the fuck were you 200 years ago, government, when you were stealing our land and
Right.
you were killing off all of our people.
But the one thing that that made that sound kind of like a strange tool to use to solve this was that so people will be able to print Redskins merchandise all they want and sell it, right?
Yeah.
So in the near term anyway, that's going to result in a lot more Redskins merchandise, right?
Yeah.
Because the hope is that eventually they'll lose a ton of money and change the name, but in the meantime, you're going to have everybody in the world being like, fuck it, I'm printing every jersey that there is and selling it.
And you know what? That actually might work because I feel like you could insult Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Redskins,
Right.
all you want. You could kick him in the balls, and it won't hurt him as much as losing money. So if he loses,
Right.
if he's walking around and seeing knockoff Redskins jerseys and he's not making money off it,
Right.
he'll probably be like, oh shit, I gotta change the name of the team.
That's my racist name.
Exactly.
How dare they? Well, that's the thing is, and there's already been so much precedent for teams doing. I mean, the fucking Redmen of St. John's and and tons of examples of that. And so all of these hypotheticals about it'll ruin our franchise. And it's no, you just have a bunch of Redskins merchandise in your stupid man cave, and you don't want to have to go replace all of it. That's all.
And also, it's that team plays in Washington, D.C.,
Right.
the headquarters of this country that basically organized systemic genocide against these people.
Right.
It would be totally different if they were the South Dakota Redskins. Because you'd be
Right.
oh, well, maybe those people chose that. But no, it's the basic. It's the people who hunted these people down to almost extinction.
Right.
They get to use this name. No, you don't.
Right. A lot of Indian reservations around fucking FedEx Field or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck those
Ridiculous.
people. Ridiculous. What else has happened in sports?
Well, I mean, we did have the NBA draft happen, and to be honest, it was a lot less exciting than the build-up for it was.
Everybody said it was going to be this fireworks show.
Yeah, fucking Prison Break free-for-all, where everybody was going to change teams and and none of it happened. The only thing that's happening now is Jason Kidd might coach the Bucks instead. Who cares about that?
The Bucks would be stupid to take him.
Yeah. Well, so the Celtics, your team,
my team,
who did they wind up taking? Did they
Marcus Smart?
Marcus Smart.
No, because Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart. We're going to take the guy with the name that we can butcher the most.
That's right.
It was really brutal, watching the NBA draft as a Celtics fan because every person I wanted just got taken before. It's there was a chance that Joel Embiid would drop to number 6, and I was okay, if we don't have him, we'll get Gordon out of Arizona.
Right.
He got taken early too, so we had to basically settle for Marcus Smart, who's a great player.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be such an incredible deep draft, so I mean, I guess we'll see. But at the same time,
it is. Smart's going to be good. Randall's going to be good. Wiggins is going to be great.
If Embiid winds up being a bust though, that, I mean, that's a terrible burden for a team to be in the most loaded draft ever, and
I honestly feel Embiid's going to bounce back and he's going to be great.
Yeah, I hope so because I mean, after watching Greg Oden. There's just, it's sad to think of that happening again.
So here's a little bar etiquette for people,
right?
Especially if you're at a sports bar and your team wins and you're very happy,
right?
I just watched this Dutch guy roll up on this girl in a Mexico shirt,
right?
And he's kind of like, hey, yeah, how's it going? She's like, yeah, it ain't happening. It's like, yeah, just because your soccer team wins doesn't mean you can go out and start hitting on women who you just beat and who are way out of your league.
Right. So what do you think of this place on first impressions?
First impressions are that, honestly, when I walked in here, I was like, I fucking hate this place.
Yeah.
I really was like, this place can go eat a dick.
Well, at the time we walked in, like I said, it was like super loud, super douchey.
The acoustics are really bad in here.
Yeah.
There's this trend in like interior design where you like expose the roof.
Yeah.
Like there's no ceiling, there's no suspended. I don't like suspended ceilings either.
Yeah.
But like this is kind of like yeah. Do I really need to see all the ventilation ducts?
Right. That's true. Like
I mean, I guess it's a trend now, but whatever. So I don't really like the interior design here.
Yeah. There's a couple semi-interesting parts of it where there's like some boxing, like punching bags hanging and like, old trophies and stuff like that. But like, there's nothing that jumps out at me and was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it's if you blindfolded me and told me I was in the middle of like Denver, Colorado or something like that, I'd probably believe you. Like,
yeah. It does seem like the interior.
No offense to Denver, by the way. Like,
oh no, fuck that.
The benchmark for shitty things. Like, what is this, Denver? Fuck you.
Maybe that works in Boulder, but this is the big city.
Maybe you can get away with that kind of shit in like fucking Littleton.
So it does kind of feel like the interior like was like F for effort.
Yeah.
But I will say, if as a sports bar, you'll love this place.
Oh yeah, I mean,
oh my god,
it's god awful ton of TVs.
There's almost too many TVs in here.
Yeah. Well, they've got a lot of them on that sort of like it's almost like a like 4 TVs that are all back to back, forming sort of a aerial cube, like a screen at a sports arena or something like that.
If you're one of those people who has that anxiety about like not being connected to like the media world,
right?
Don't worry, you'll be fine here because like every time you turn around, there's a TV in your face. Which is great for a sports bar, because sometimes you go to a sports bar and you're like, I'm standing behind this like tall guy or whatever. Like,
right.
There's televisions everywhere here. So,
Christ, maybe we should take another quick break.
Let's take a break,
and we'll come back with more.
I might even try some of their menu. They have a good. They have a kitchen here. I shouldn't say it's good because I haven't tried it yet.
I noticed that they have wings on the menu.
Some wings?
Some wings. And, if it's the same people that run the Keys could be in for good wings, but we'll see.
Sounds good. All right, we'll be right back. This is SFBarkast. San Francisco Athletic Club.
SFAC.
In beautiful Pacific Heights, San Francisco, California, United States, planet Earth.
Where would you rank Pacific Heights on the
at the bottom? I'm going to wait before you even finish. I'm sorry, no. At where?
I was going to say on the snobatorium, meter.
At the top.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I would put, Pacific Heights way at the top.
You might be right.
Yeah. Maybe Nob Hill. Hey, I'm probably insulting some of the snobby people on Snob Hill.
Right.
But I think Pacific Heights is going to win it this year.
I think, Nob Hill sort of blending into the Tenderloin sort of gives it points. Whereas, there's nowhere, I said, aside from, maybe Fillmore, but Fillmore's not even that bad anymore, so.
Well, it's Nob Hill is one of the most affluent neighborhoods in San Francisco.
Right.
Thank you. And it is just blocks away from the Tenderloin, which is, one of the most destitute, parts of San Francisco.
Right.
So they need what they call the Tender Knob, which is in between.
Thanks.
Which is in between those two places. And they need people like Drew Harmon to buffer, to keep people away from the rich people.
And he's doing a great job.
Drew Harmon is basically he's one of the men of the night's watch for crackheads.
Exactly.
If we don't protect this wall, all these crackheads will get in and they will take over Nob Hill.
So going back to the decor of this place a little bit, we were like looking around during the break, and like we noticed that there's certain sports like represented here, like on the wall and in the decor that like
Really?
I think your average sports bar doesn't really cater to necessarily or have in mind.
Yeah, I mean, like, and also, like I said, really half-assed.
Yeah, yeah, like total garage, not even garage sale, because you get the feeling they spent real money on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's on one wall you've got like these like crossed oars, like I guess.
Well, I kind of feel like if you're a sports bar, sometimes you throw in stuff to kind of like give yourself a little bit more legitimacy. Like,
right.
Yeah, we'll throw up like a lacrosse. Is it a racket?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the fuck that's called.
I don't know. Lacrosse.
Basket.
Basically, a lacrosse thing that you beat each other in the head with.
Right.
But in here, they have like a couple of like crew oars.
Right.
Just in case the Winklevoss twins walk in,
Right.
You want them to feel like they're at home.
Yeah, exactly. If the Duke lacrosse team shows up, you don't want them to think that their brand of fun date raping isn't welcome here. Like,
That's right. You don't want to think that they can't like grope women. Right. They want to make them feel them at home.
Christ. Well, actually, you said that we were going to order food, and we did, and it came much faster than I thought.
Much faster.
So we might have to take another. We'll make this one a quick break, and
I'll take us a quick break, and then we'll be back.
Throw down some of these wings, and we'll come back and stain up the microphones with our buffalo sauce hands.
You're going to be able to smell it through the podcast.
Exactly.
All right, this is SFBarkast. We'll be back from the San Francisco Athletic Club. All right, this is SFBarkast, and we are back at the San Francisco Athletic Club. Andrew, did you enjoy those wings?
I found them to be quite mediocre wings, as wings go. I mean, like
C+?
they would do in a pinch if you had not had wings in a year, and like you really missed the sweet taste of wings.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were they didn't stand out. Much like the decor here and the crowd here, nothing really stood out as interesting or new.
Yeah, I would say, and I know like the people who open this place are also the people who do Kezar Pub.
Yeah.
I would say the wings over at Kezar are vastly superior. But
Yeah,
at the same time, I kind of like you. If you were somebody who was like wandering the desert like for 40 days, like
right.
our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and you wanted some wings, which these would do.
Look, I haven't read all of the Bible, but I'm pretty sure he was looking for wings.
Yeah, it's like I mean, when you're out in the desert and you're trying to decide whether you want to save the fate of humanity,
right.
You get a little hungry for wings.
Well, and anybody who lives in a desert knows that spicy food is actually good for when you're thirsty. Yeah. And so Jesus had to know. Like, I mean, he's the Son of God. He knows everything, right? He had to know that wings are a good choice.
He also knew it was coming, right? Because he's the Son of God.
Well, I think Jesus also said that the wings here are pretty substandard, and that he
have.
He actually would rather go to the sports bar in the Castro, the High Tops, and have their wings, according to Jesus.
Remember when Jesus was with all those people who were hungry, and he turned like the loaves of bread into wings?
Oh, yeah, I do. Like, I'm going to turn this water into Frank's Red Hot sauce.
You beat me to that joke.
Fantastic.
So the second game is starting, and it is Greece versus
the Ticos of Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. I almost feel like, because I've never met anyone from Costa Rica before.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I should jock Costa Rica like really hard. Just
sure,
like jump on the table and be like, "You're dealing with Costa Rica, motherfucker. We have screamer monkeys."
Like if Costa Rica scores, just jump up on the table and be like, "You can all suck my Tico dick."
Yeah, who's got the ecotourism now? So honestly, I don't really care about this game. So it's Costa Rica, a Central American country that is known for their ecotourism.
They are.
Against Greece, a country that set the standards for math and physics and then decided to take the rest of humanity off.
Right. Set the standard for math and physics and then decided to become known for like fucking people in the butt.
Exactly. Hey, what else you got? Well, we got a really relaxed like security system at the Athens airport.
Speaking of Munich.
Speaking of Munich.
Speaking of horrible terrorism.
Okay, so we're watching soccer here.
Right.
I was watching the Dan Patrick Show.
Yes.
And they have coined a term called what they call snockers,
Snockers.
which is like basically snobby soccer fans.
Oh.
So they're basically like the hipsters of soccer.
I see. I think that's a valid and necessary term because like there are people that just sort of come out of the woodwork.
Well, it's like I feel like soccer is like always struggling to gain a foothold in American like eyes, like American viewership. But part of the reason why it doesn't is because these assholes who are like snobby soccer fans,
Right?
And like you know what I'm talking about. Where, like if you say like, oh yeah, they won 1-0, and they're like, hey, it's 1-0. Or if you say like he kicked it up halfway across the field, it's like, hey, it's a pitch.
It's not a
You're
pitch.
just like, what the fuck? Like
you're a son of a pitch is what you are.
Exactly. Like, who are you? Are you in Vampire Weekend? If not, then shut up about like fucking being all like high and mighty about everything.
Well, before we stop talking about soccer, I wanted to get to one joke that I had that I couldn't find a way to force in, and that was that.
Sometimes you just gotta like.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta like force a joke in. It's
exactly. Like
it's
you know
not,
what? I'm tired of waiting. I want to say this joke now.
I'll just say this is not a consensual joke. Okay, you gotta like really force yourself in there.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if we were talking about yesterday's results, I was going to say that Brazil disposed of Chile like an Albuquerque toilet.
Like a what?
Like an Albuquerque toilet. Because people in Albuquerque eat chili, right? So Brazil disposed of Chile like it was a toilet in Albuquerque.
All right, I'm going to allow it.
Yeah. Any joke that you have to explain 3 or 4 times over a noisy crowd always works out well.
I did have the joke that when Argentina beat Iran by 1,
Okay.
they were getting vastly like they were playing like really poorly.
Right.
But they still won, and I said that was the second greatest escape from Iran ever, which is a Argo joke.
An Argo fuck yourself joke.
And I also, I believe there was one game where France won like 5-0. And I was like, wow, France is like better at soccer than World Wars.
Well, there's an enticing matchup that could possibly be coming next weekend between Germany and France, which we'll see if France can muster up the energy to put up any sort of resistance whatsoever.
Andrew, let me ask you, because you are in close contact with a lot of German people. And also, let me...
You make that sound so unseemly.
They own you.
Right.
You work for a bunch of Germans.
Exactly.
And
if they told me to kill the president, I would have to.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
It's the law. But one of the things I've always said is making fun of Germans is like really easy, and it's really like it's easy humor because it's almost trite at this point, but it's still so much fun.
It is. It's true.
But people say that if you know Germans, you're not supposed to bring up the war.
Well, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I don't think they're not like super sensitive about it, but like I think it's probably just like a conversation they're tired of having. Like where it's like if you had like a German person
that whole
come here,
Holocaust thing, I'm sick of talking about that.
Well, if you had like a German person come here and all they wanted to talk to you about was Vietnam and how we fucking screwed that up, I'd be like, well, yeah, I guess our country did, but like I didn't really have a lot to do with it. Like
that's in the ballpark, but not exactly the same thing as systemic genocide.
Oh, we can talk all day about who killed who and the difference between 6 million and 6,000. But
so then, what do you talk about if you're dealing with German people? It's like, oh, let's talk about soccer and craft work. Oh God, that again.
Or sausage, pretzels.
How do you get all that bad meat wrapped into that like little like sausage?
Right. How are the pretzels so much better than the rolled gold crap that we have to buy here?
Oh my God! I think
everyone's going bananas.
Costa
Rica's getting close.
Do you know how when you're watching a soccer game, whenever the ball gets even remotely close to the goal, everybody kind of goes crazy, like oh my God!
Right.
I want to do that for an entire basketball game.
Just start screaming every time a ball goes near the hoop. It's like,
every time a ball like clangs off the rim, I'm like, oh my God, it's down. And then do it. Like the only way it would be funny is if you did it for the entire fucking game. Yeah.
Like,
oh my
in
God.
everyone's face. Like just like,
it was 120 to 110, and he yelled for the entire game.
I get the feeling if there's anyone that's up to that challenge, it's probably the table full of Dutch people that are still here and blistering drunk by now. I mean, like some of them are almost nodding off.
Yeah,
the ones that aren't ready to start a fight are ready to take a nap.
You know that, like, there's good money on that big Dutch guy over there, like basically just like falling asleep on top of his plate of wings.
Like, how many? Like, once he finally passes out, how many tables do you think he will take with him?
He's probably the most powerful person in Amsterdam.
Like, he's the kind of person that, like, while he's passing out, he'll grab, like, the ketchup and mustard containers and squirt them into the air. Like, just as a final desperate act to make a mess.
That's one of the things I do love about soccer is it gives us an opportunity to make fun of different nationalities.
you don't get that opportunity.
Also, the opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
I mean, it's you have to sort of pick and choose when you're watching basketball. You got to be there's a guy from Argentina. Now I get to make fun of Argentinians. But
yeah, stick that in your empanada hole.
Well,
and also, like, comedy is a way of learning about other cultures by making fun of them.
Exactly. Like, well, I mean, you have to start with the basics and work your way back to more respectable things, like, what they do for a living, or like, or
right,
the people they don't hate.
If you're like, hey, you know what? Are you really gonna make that hairy Greek guy joke, or you want to like step it up and make a souvlaki joke?
Exactly.
And then people know what souvlaki is.
Right. Like, you gotta know the difference between your regular olives and your Kalamata olives, and sometimes the only way to do that is to make fun of some Greek guy.
And you know what? I didn't know what those two different olives were like, but until you told me that some Greek people can stick them up their ass, now I know.
That's right. Thank God. But so going back to the bar,
do we have to?
I know. Well, I guess we're here. We should go here. The clientele is much different. Seems like for this game than it was. There's still this like pastiche of douche, like sort of underlying the whole thing.
Let's be real about this. Compared to the last crowd, nobody in this bar gives two shits about. Not a single fuck is given about this game.
Right.
And I know there are a couple of people watching this game, but like it's not like Mexico, Netherlands.
There's like virtually no Greek community in San Francisco, is there? Like, because you go to other cities, like Melbourne, Australia is like hugely Greek, and like Astoria, Queens, like is all Greek, and like but like I've seen a couple of Greek restaurants, but like it's not like there's a neighborhood that's like Greek Town, like in San Francisco.
Greek Town. Stay out of Greek Town.
They'll burn your cheese over in Greek Town.
It's like they'll stuff a bunch of feta down your throat.
They'll hold you down, make you drink ouzo.
Yeah, you're right. Like, maybe those like places exist that you speak of.
Yeah.
But like, I've never been anywhere where it's like, oh, the huge Greek community.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like even in like, once you factor in all the suburbs and everything like that, there's usually like some pocket of virtually every nationality around here. But like, I've never heard of like, like if you go to like northeastern Oakland, it's all Greek. It's like.
Yeah, you would think there would be like, isn't Rhodes an island off of Greek?
I think so.
You would think there'd be a lot of what?
It's a scholarship. I know that.
Oh yeah.
The Rhodes Scholarship.
You would think there would be a lot of like Greeks in Rhode Island.
You would think so, right?
But no, it's nothing but like dirty Italians and Portuguese.
Well, I mean, like who's running the diners though? There's at least got to be enough Greeks to make an omelet.
You just throw some feta and spinach in there.
You actually, you're a big fan of feta on pizza.
I love feta. On pizza. I love feta cheese. Isn't now? Is feta cheese goat cheese?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's like
this is the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying that, like, you know what? I feel like I might be lactose intolerant, and my friend told me, you know what? Everybody's lactose intolerant. It's like just naturally. It's like there's just different degrees of like tolerance for it.
Isn't that supposed to be like you're more evolved as a person if you're lactose like I forget whether it's like Japanese or there's a couple of races that are 100% lactose intolerant like across the board. But like,
well, I mean, my friend's like he was telling me that like no, like you as a species we shouldn't be drinking or eating another animal's milk. So that's why you're lactose intolerant.
I think I saw some comedian talking about like how weird, like the first person to drink milk like was a real fucking like pioneer. Like that's a guy that was way too much time on his hands. Where he's like, I don't know, I'm tired of drinking all this water. Like maybe I'll suck some milk out of that cow's tits. It's like.
Well, it's like the most expensive coffee in the world is this coffee from I believe the Amazon, where there's like this Amazonian like tree cat that eats the berries of this like tree,
I've heard of this,
and then shits it out, and then people come over and then they go through the droppings of this Amazonian tree cat, and then they found out it makes great coffee. So like, who's the first person who was like, hey, let's brew what that cat shit?
See, I own 2 cats. I've smelled cat shit, and there's no way that makes coffee better.
You mean in all of your experience with your 2 cats, you have never seen your cat take a shit and you think, maybe I'll put that in my mouth?
I think, like, you know what? Like, if I throw this cat litter into a filter, like, I wonder what that would taste like.
That's why, Andrew, this has to be the reason. That's why it's the most expensive coffee in the world. Because it's the most ridiculous.
Right.
Like, you're like, hey,
but it's like it had to have all been done as a dare to begin with. And like the guy was like, yeah, I'll drink your cat shit coffee. And then he's like, you know, it's not bad. And they're like, you know what? We could charge a fucking fortune for this because
you'd be like,
we just have to tell rich people that it came out of a cat's ass.
If you were at like one of those really rich like gatherings, like in Long Island or something.
You know, one of those ones from the freshmen where they eat endangered animals.
Yeah, and you stood up and said, hey, anybody want to have some rhino cum? It's really
expensive. And everybody else is like, boring. Do you have any like cat shit coffee?
No. And you said it's really expensive. They'll be like, yeah, I'll have some of that.
$1 million an ounce. So I'll take 2.
You would never, ever think of doing that.
Christ. So another thing that was announced this week, or not announced, but I mean like the lineup and everything was announced, is the Funny or Die Oddball Festival.
The what?
It's called the Oddball Festival, and it's like a traveling comedian festival put on by Funny or Die. The thing is, and here's the big problem I have with it, is, I mean, you've got all these top name comedians. Like Louis C.K.'s involved, David Tell's involved. You know, it's a ton of great comics, but it's all at amphitheaters. So it's like Shoreline Amphitheater to watch a comedy show.
Awful.
It's like
Don't do that.
Terrible. And like, but all the comedians that are involved keep like tweeting about like how great it is and like, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. Yeah, it's gonna be great for you because you're gonna make a ton of money and you're gonna get to hang out with your friends backstage. But everyone there is gonna have a terrible time.
I feel like it's gonna crash and burn. Also, like you don't as a fan of comedy, you do not want to be in a 20,000 seat amphitheater, like squinting your eyes on the lawn, listening to like punchlines echo up through this.
You're like, is that Dave Attell or Amy Schumer? I don't know. Like,
yeah. So who's on that?
It's like, I mean, it's every big name you could possibly think of, but it's like, and it's like the tickets are $100 and like, and it's for people that have like zero interest in seeing comedy other than telling people they saw a certain comedian.
Yeah.
Because like they're not going to be able to understand any of it. Like it's going to be like, yeah, I think Will Ferrell got on stage and shouted something at some point, but I saw Will Ferrell, so I'm great.
If you're a comedy fan, and I'm talking to everybody out there, if you're a comedy fan, do it right and be a comedy fan and go see comedy in small clubs.
Right.
It'll be so much better. I mean, can you imagine, like, if you go to New York and you go to the Comedy Cellar, you're like 7 feet away from Louis C.K. on stage.
Yeah.
And then you think, like, okay, if I go to this fucking festival.
Right. Now I'm like 1,000 feet away.
It's like I am like a football field away, and I paid $100 to see Louis C.K.
Well, it's like, I mean, and think about like some of the, like, just like any comedian really, like, would have to tailor their act almost exclusively get rid of any jokes that require any sort of subtlety at all. Like, where like all of your jokes had better be like stuff you can shout like to people 1,000 feet away, and it's like that really limits what kind of jokes you can tell.
Like, I'm sorry, I feel like if I'm going to make a hard rule here, comedy should not be in an amphitheater.
That's a good rule.
Yeah. You shouldn't have, I mean, if a basketball or a hockey team plays there, you shouldn't be playing there. Like, there are some, like, comedy clubs I think are too big because they're, like, 500 seats.
Right.
Do not have 20,000 people there.
So as this is our first foray into Pacific Heights, or what did you call it before, the Divisadero Gulch or Divisadero Canyon? Or
I believe it's called the Divisadero Corridor. And it is being developed over really heavily.
Yeah.
It's like the new Valencia Street.
Oh, okay.
Which, talk about aiming fucking low.
They're like, hey, we could recreate Valencia Street, but in the nice part of town. Why don't we do that?
The only advantage they have over here in the Divisadero Corridor is that there's not really a community that they can, like, displace. You know, it's basically a bunch of, like, white people here to begin with.
Right.
And then, like, in the
open up some
Mission,
bougie bars and you're all set. Like,
in the Mission, you have to worry about displacing, like low-income Latino communities and, like, artists.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have a problem with that. But here, there's no community up here.
You're displacing the people that used to own the building, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I never come to this neighborhood, so. Oh, also, I think I'm talking about another festival. When I was in Vegas, they announced the Life is Beautiful Festival, which is a Las Vegas festival.
Yeah, I remember this from last year. Like, it had like the Killers and like a lot. I mean, like, to be fair, a lot of Vegas acts and stuff like that. But like, it looked like kind of a nightmare as well.
Yeah. Well, the big like news when I was in Las Vegas is that like the Life is Beautiful announcement of their acts for the festival this year, did not get any coverage by the big media outlets.
You mean like those guys that hand out brochures on the street?
They said that Rolling Stone didn't say anything about the Life is Beautiful lineup, and Pitchfork Media didn't say anything about the Life is Beautiful lineup. And there are two places that did like really extensive lineups, like analysis of their lineups, and they were both like super negative. Like I forget which one it was, but someone said that this is the most predictable like festival lineup of 2014.
Wow.
And actually,
and this is Las Vegas talking. I mean, imagine if it was Portland or something. I mean, like no one expects Las Vegas to come out with the most cutting edge thing in the world, but like when you have like local Vegas media being like boring, like I'd rather go watch like Cirque du Soleil, like do the Rolling Stones or whatever.
Yeah, let's have some fucking French Canadian tumblers over here, so I don't fall asleep.
Right.
But I guess like their lineup includes like they got Kanye West, they got the Flaming Lips, I got Girl Talk, and it's just basically like people that you should have seen by now.
It's called the You Should Have Seen This By Now Festival.
Oh my God, something's gonna happen.
No, nothing's gonna happen.
Oh, sorry, everybody, calm down. It looked like something was gonna happen, and then you know what? Nothing happened. FIFA soccer. Oh, you want to take a break?
Sure. Let's take a break and come back
and we'll wrap up. Woo! All right, this is SFBarkast.
Costa Rica, diamante de Centroamérica. Costa Rica, te canto yo desde México. Costa Rica, las notas serán mis manos y te estrecharán, hermano, con el alma y corazón. San José, yo quiero tomarme un guaro por ti, en tus cantones y barrios y así, colarme en un pachango.
All right, and we are back at the San Francisco Athletic Club. Andrew, how do you like this place?
It's all right.
All right, that's your review. I told you I'd give
this
you...
This episode could have been like 2 minutes long. And we're like, how is it? Oh, it's all right.
I told you I'd give you 2 words to review a bar, and you said, all right.
Like, how about 4 words? All right, all right?
All right, there you go. So before we, go into the bar anymore here, I want to, give you a little bit of more of my impression of like living in Las Vegas for 2 weeks.
Right.
And let me tell you, the most profound thing about Las Vegas, when you spend more than a weekend there, is the absolute, abject amount of lack of self-respect that people have there. You walk around.
There is a real, like, even if you're on the Strip and you're only there for a couple of days, there's just this layer of sadness and depression and failure, like, that just undermines everything.
Well, first off, there's so many people there who are trying to do, make it their weekend. So,
Right.
when you're trying to, party that hard, you're like, I don't care about anything. I'll do anything I want.
Right.
And so there's no self-respect there. But also, someone like the women,
Oh my God, a yellow card.
a lot of these casinos, they have really amazing draws to bring people in. I think it's the Bellagio.
Fellatio.
Yeah. The Bellagio, I think they have these priceless works of art in there.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
of course, nobody goes to see.
Right.
And they also
literally hanging off of slot machines.
Yeah, because when you're an overweight American wearing shorts, you're just I don't think I like Monet.
They said there was Monet in here. I don't see any cash at all.
But also what they do is they will lure world-class chefs.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
away,
yeah.
And they'll have you can have your own restaurant in Las Vegas. We'll
Right.
pay for everything, and the guy they take the money,
Right.
But I think they really. Oh my God, something might happen.
Somebody just passed the ball.
But I think in Las Vegas, if they really wanted to draw people in, they should have a museum of self-respect. And it would be hey,
here's something you've never seen before in your life. And
here's
you'll
a
never see it
moderate,
again.
here's a moderately attractive woman who did not go get enormous breast implants.
That's right. Oh my God. And Greece almost scored.
I know it's going to sound to the viewer that something happened, but nothing happened.
I liked actually Triumph the Insult Comic Dog went around to World Cup bars last week, and he was at a Greek place, and he said at the end of the interview, he's like, I'm going to buy everybody here a beer, and then they're all like, yay, and he's like, wait, let me finish. I said, I'll buy everybody here a beer whose name is less than 5 syllables long.
Way to go, Greece.
Well, speaking of customer reviews, we since this place is brand new, we didn't find much in the way of of Yelp reviews.
Yelp reviews.
I did find one though that's great, and it's by a Yelper named Aaron, Ayrn. Aaron, whatever. But anyway, so he walked in after being really excited that there's a new sports bar in the neighborhood. And he was disappointed that the TV had the Giants game on because he's not a Giants fan.
Okay, Aaron. I don't even know where to start with that one. It's you walk into a sports bar and your favorite team, he's like, oh my God, I thought I could go down to a sports bar in San Francisco and watch the Padres game.
I sort of
they
wanted
don't
to
even watch the Padres in fucking San Diego.
I sort of wanted to look at the rest of his reviews to see if he went to sushi bars and was like, well, I'm really more of a steak and eggs kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So fuck this place. Well, okay.
He's the problem with this sushi place is too many Japanese people.
Well, that's true, actually. Fantastic. So what's your final analysis, Phil Joannou, of this place?
You know what? Like I said earlier, when we first came in here, I was like, I fucking hate this place. And I think it was just because of the layout.
Right.
It looks like it looks like an extended garage in here.
A little bit, yeah. It does look like it's this is what I imagine Adam Carolla's a car garage to be like, where it's just a bunch of expensive shit.
And honestly, I'd be surprised if it flies up here because I feel like in Pacific Heights they need it to be a little bit.
Right.
They need everything to be a little bit more highfalutin.
Yeah.
And this actually kind of feels kind of like bare bones, like, which is something that I would like. It's like my type of I like a kind of like a bare bones sort of like dive bar.
I almost feel like to work in this neighborhood, it would need to be like a decent sports bar that has like ridiculously good food or something.
Yes, right.
But and the food is it's like Kezar quality for the most part, which is like fine if you're in.
I would say I would say it's under.
Wow.
I feel like the wings here were not as good as Kezar.
Yeah, which I mean, usually takes a little while for people to iron stuff out. But yeah, like I don't really see a overall plan that looks like terribly appealing for this neighborhood. And like normally I would say, like with most places like this, I would be like, well, if I was in the neighborhood, or if I if I lived around here. But even that sort of like, if I lived around here, I'd shoot myself in the face because I lived in Pacific Heights.
You know what? I will say that I can't disparage any place in San Francisco. After spending 2 weeks in Las Vegas, I swear
this is the most forward-thinking place I've seen in the last 2 weeks.
I swear to Xenu, after like 10 days in Vegas, I would have murdered a cop to watch the fog roll in. And it makes me appreciate this place so much more. Pacific Heights, not the neighborhood I usually hang out in.
No.
But I am going to give it a thumbs up for this bar.
Thumbs up overall.
Especially like
you know what, like
you
for
find
sports,
yourself
a lot of TVs.
If you find yourself in Pacific Heights and you want to watch a game, especially if you want to watch a Giants game,
exactly. You can if you can chase Aaron out of here, like when he's monopolizing a seat, like complaining about it.
That's the fucking problem with
Aaron.
Well, I was gonna say Aaron's the problem with the world, but Aaron's the problem with like Yelp. We're like some like random idiot who really should think things through. Gets to like write a bad review of a place like this because they were playing too much of the Giants game. Oh my God.
Well, and I don't think it was this place. It was another place, but there was another great Yelp review that I read where the guy basically said. We need more places like this in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, you understand what this site is used for, right? Like, nobody is going to Yelp being like, I want to find out what kind of places there are in San Francisco that there should be in Scottsdale, Arizona. No one in the world wants to see that.
Well, it's also like somebody who is like absolutely obsessed with where they live.
Right.
You know? It's like they're basically,
how dare all of this stuff happen?
They're basically like the Mike Wilbon of travelers, where it's like everything you do has to relate to what you have. So like Michael Wilbon sees everything through the Chicago sports scene glasses.
Christ.
And also he tucks in his jersey to his belted jeans. So
yeah, I have to imagine there's a ton of Wilbons here during a baseball game.
All right.
Somebody got a yellow card and everybody's going fucking bananas over it. It's a real prison break in here.
People are they're so outraged that something might have happened or might have not happened.
Like, the crazy thing is that, like, I mean, we were just at the Kezar a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't nearly as loud there. And there's probably twice as many people at the Kezar.
Yeah.
So I think you said, like, the acoustics are just are if you really like loud places.
I mean, it is the World Cup. I wonder what this place is going to be like, because it's a big bar. I wonder what it's going to be like when the World Cup's not happening. Right. It's going to seem kind of
when they're just showing like an old episode of Rizzoli and Isles on TV or something.
Yeah, like or maybe they'll like cultivate a. Maybe they'll find a sport that they're like 100% into, and then everybody will flock to.
We probably have to come back here for rowing season.
Rowing. Remember there was a bar at like 8th and like Harrison that was like they were really into Formula One. I'm like, wow, it's so specific. If you ran a sports bar, Andrew, would you just be like, look, I just want to run the best women's gymnastics sports bar,
rhythmic gymnastics
sports bar in the city.
Exactly. Every 4 years we go nuts for the Olympics.
But how shitty would
Romanian flags everywhere?
How shitty would you feel is if you open a synchronized swimming sports bar,
right,
and then another one opened up right next to you,
right. And then like Starbucks opens one across the street. It's like they're only
damn it,
right. Son of a bitch.
Now I'm gonna have to burn them down because they had my idea.
That's right. And then that's how the East Coast, West Coast gymnastics bars wars started.
Synchronized swimming wars.
All right.
So, yeah, I'm going to give this place a thumbs up. They won me over.
I'll give
You're
it
gonna
a
give it
thumbs
sideways?
Yeah, like maybe a little up. Up for the sports, down for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say that.
down for the people, down for the wings, down for the
Yeah, I'm down for the wings.
overall neighborhood.
I'm down for the beer selection's good.
Yeah,
Down for the wings, up for the sports.
Totally.
I don't like that sign they have out front that says "No Jews."
So prominently displayed too. Like I mean, like it would be one thing if it was in the corner, but it's like as you walk into the entrance.
I'm kidding. There's no sign that says that out front.
This will be the one episode that the owner of the bar listens to. And like what the hell?
What the hell?
Right.
Who put that sign up?
I was just about to turn it off. It was like 47 minutes into it, and like
The
what?
the owner would be like, "What? I told you that was a joke to put that sign up. Who put it up?" Oh, it's not. Oh, okay.
Turns out like the owner's like the only living like Holocaust survivor left or something. And we're like completely like pariahs in the entire city.
He's like,
from
I
now
was
on.
listening to your podcast while I was watching Munich, and
Right. We're watching Schindler's List on all 50 of our TVs. All right.
all right. Well,
Let's get out of here before we get ourselves in more trouble.
yeah, let's get out of here. You know what? It's almost halftime of the Costa Rica Greece game, so
Yeah.
we're gonna make our escape at halftime. So let's
Indeed.
get out of here.
All right.
All right. So this is SF Barkast. I'm Jeff Cleary,
I'm Andrew Louder.
and we'll see you next time.